Hello, this is Jamie Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Censored podcast, going over all the posts on Libertarian Censored subreddit. And so first we have Accused by Banghi, and that was their post is the state of Israel committing genocide. Is that free speech or hate speech? Bonus points if you pick both. And I said free speech, hate speech isn't the thing. I do think speech can be hateful, but that doesn't mean I think that there should be a speech that is officially recognized to be hate speech by the government, and that's my thoughts on those and on that issue. Next, we have Tesla seeks to revive Musk's $47 billion pay deal after a judge says no from NYTimes.com by Zachness, and my thought on that is, I don't think that the government should be giving private companies any money, and that's my thought on that issue. I think people should be trying to be self-sufficient and not rely on government handouts, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have Chase Oliver responds to the Libertarian Party's plan to host Donald Trump at the LPNC this month, and that's a tweet from Chase Oliver. And that's a cross post from the Chase Oliver 2024 subreddit by a Ninja Lover. And let's see the tweet. He says, Republican Party wasn't smart enough to reject Trump. Libertarians absolutely reject him in his script. If he isn't willing to actually debate the Libertarian candidate, he shouldn't be on a stage that was paid for by party members. If he actually grows his mind in debates, I'm ready to crush him and send him packing back to Mar-a-Lago to retire in shame. He raised the debt and deficits more than any other president in history. He initiated the COVID lockdowns and empowered governors to shutter millions of small businesses forever. He forced your kids to lose at least a year of face-to-face learning. He killed thousands of innocent people with drones. He passed more gun control than Obama. He constantly embarrassed us on the world stage. He sold weapons to regimes around the world that were used to brutalize populations to the benefit of the military-industrial complex. He used the force of the state to get his way and will expand the state if he's ever re-elected. Libertarians ought to give Trump the one-finger salute if he tries to come to our convention, reject authoritarian war criminals, embrace liberty. And I would agree with that. I think Trump is a fascist just like the rest of them, I would say. And that's why I think we gotta say, he might be marginally better than Biden, but even then, it doesn't, it's pretty much insignificant the difference between them. That's my thoughts on that issue. And, yeah. Then we have Backsliding Democracies and Women's Rights in the U.S. and Around the Globe from MsMagazine.com by FuckTimBack6969. And I like what BHK and BCom did. Democracies are in opposition to natural rights, and I responded with a quote from Michael Malice. My rights are not up for discussion, let alone a vote. So yeah, I definitely do agree that, democracy isn't that great. With that being said, if people want to do it, they should be able to. I don't think people should be forced to do it if they don't want to do it. And that's why, I'm all for voluntary collectivism, but I'm against is forced collectivism. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Ron DeSantis signs bill banning lab-grown meat from thehill.com by Clorox. And it's a cross post from the Futurology subreddit. And I said, it definitely goes against food freedom. I think if people want to eat lab-grown meat, they should be able to. But, I think people should be able to eat whatever they want. And I don't think the government should be telling them what they can and can't eat. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have The End of the Libertarian Party by Slayer991. And they commented, I've been ruminating over this since the announcement that the orange piece of shit was going to speak at our convention. I've been voting and dues-paying Libertarian for 30 plus years, and my first reaction was outrage. Clearly the party is done. This was my caucus from the beginning. Every action has been service to the orange piece of shit that there's no coming back from this. There's no erasing the stain of this. I decided two things. One, to be active in the Liberal Party USA, and he links to the Liberal Party USA website. This party is founded by libertarians in PA. It's discussed by the direction of the LP, and 3 other states have joined them. Around 6 months after Reno, I reached out to one of their founders and asked who is still willing to fight for the LP. He told me the party is structurally broken and cannot be fixed. I admit I don't know what he was talking about at the time, but now I do. What did he mean? Our bylaws were the Achilles heel. They were weaponized and used against us. The Mises Caucus parliamentarian has bragged about this. They take over cost them $500,000. Now the Mises Caucus are maintaining minority rule in the state and others by using the judicial committees to overturn the election results of conventions on spurious grounds. For example, my election to the judicial committee that was overturned for various reasons. Of course, these issues are taken to regular court, but that takes time and money, neither of which we have. have. I find myself politically homeless this cycle. What does this mean to me? At the end of the day, I'm a pragmatist, and the threat to liberty isn't coming from the left as much as it's coming from the right, thanks to Project 2025 and the rise of Christian nationalism. Trump must not be elected again. To that end, I've decided to do the one thing I've never done, vote the lesser of two evils. Yes, for the rest of my life, I'll be voting D. Hashtag Libertarians for Biden. Fuck you, Mises, for you, Mises Cucks. Congrats to successful killing the LP, now fuck off. And I said, in response, I said, I can see why people don't go for Trump. He's a spaz who has to make a fight out of everything. With that being said, don't gaslight yourself into thinking that Biden is better than he actually is. I personally voted D the past 2 times. I'm tired of Trump as well, but he's clearly not going away at this point. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Next, we have America's Trust in Its Institutions Has Collapsed by Lemon Limelight, and they posted The Economist reports on institutional trust. America's trust in its institutions has collapsed. In 2006, when Gallup first started asking Americans about their trust in key institutions, the country ranked at the top of the G7 table, tied with Britain. In 2020, for the first time, America came last. New data from Gallup, a pollster, shows that American trust in several national institutions is on the decline. That may be surprising given the fraught state of the country's politics, but the cumulative fall over the years is startling. The key institutions in the military, the judicial system, the national government, and the honesty of elections. Stated reasons for our declining trust go back to the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, with more recent developments like Trump's constant barrage of an electoral system and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. On consequences, strong and credible institutions count among the best guarantors of the country's long-term stability. People who broadly trust authority are more likely to comply with the government directives. During the pandemic, people who had high trust in the government were more likely to get vaccinated and comply with public health guidance on lockdowns or social distancing rules. Blind trust in authority is dangerous, and a degree of substance is going to be healthy, but America's slides toward being an ever more distrusting place has perils of its own. And New York Times newsletter from this morning also comments on trust. Public trust in turn depends on honesty. During the pandemic, as written in the past, government officials and academic experts sometimes made the mistake of deciding that Americans couldn't handle the truth. Instead, experts emphasized evidence that was convenient to their recommendations and buried inconvenient facts. They exaggerated the risk of outdoor COVID transmission, the virus's danger to children, and the benefits of mask mandates, among other things. The goal may have not been admirable, fighting a deadly virus, but the strategy backfired. Many people ended up confused, wondering what the truth was. I would add that, and then I would add that the institutional reaction to the SARS-CoV-2 also contributed to greater public trust. This was recently discussed in this subreddit. In your opinion, how important is institutional trust for a healthy society? What contributes to higher or low levels of trust? And my comment was, it's probably a good thing. Social media has definitely helped. The institutions have led to countless deaths and wars and other grifts. As someone who was a young boy during the Iraq War, the only thing I've seen government institutions do is fail people, and that's my fault on that issue. People shouldn't trust the institutions. I would say, the more trust people have in the institutions, the more the government can get away with. We shouldn't let the government get away with everything, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the fiery economist became Argentina's president by railing against politicians. Now he's wooing them from APnews.com by Ninja Lover, and they added, he's finally learning that he needs to cooperate, compromise, and work for people in order to govern. This is a positive thing. I wish him success. And, I agree that government is a lot about compromise, but that's mostly compromising your rights away, I would say. And that's why I personally think, if you want to compromise, that's fine. But I personally think, there's something to be said for not compromising as well. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have communist regimes are notoriously friendly to the LGBT movement. Well done, from LP Arizona on Twitter, and I posted that, and that was their reply to Duke University Press. The hashtag weekly read is transnational queer materialism, the introduction of a recent special issue of South Night Quarterly, edited by Rana M. Jalil and Irvin Safki. Read the article for free for June 30th. And it looks like the cover is looks like a hammer and sickle that's kind of either a butt plug or a dildo. And I personally don't think, and people wonder why everyone is so skeptical of academia these days. It's pretty much just leftist identity politics and neo-Marxism and nothing else. And that's my thought on that issue. Then next we have Redditor can't comprehend a person of color being conservative from Reddit Lies on Twitter, and I posted that. And that was them linking to a Reddit thread from the r/racism suburb, why would a person of color even ever be conservative? And I said, Redditor can't comprehend anyone descending from their narrow worldview. Very unsurprising. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Reddit. It's a lot of people are like that these days, like social media, but Reddit's particularly bad. I think in that regard, when they can't tolerate any dissent at all, and that's not something that I particularly care for. Then we have people can't be detained just for trying to avoid police. California Supreme Court says from LATimes.com by Don 13, and I said that's good. I definitely disagree with a lot of what California's been doing recently, but I definitely think if you want to avoid the police, you shouldn't be detained for doing so. Then we have LP chair Angela McArdle told Timcast viewers look into a crackpot theory called German New Medicine. It was followed by Gerd Hammer, who claimed that traditional medicine is a Jewish conspiracy to decimate non-Jews. And that's a tweet from Fakertarians, posted by John 14, as I said. And this is sorry about the zero link, but there's good discussion in the comments thread. And I personally don't think, if you want to believe this, all the conspiracy theories, I think you should be able to. With that being said, some of them can be bad looks for the normies, I would say. And that's my thoughts on that issue ultimately, but I think you should believe whatever you want as long as you're not forcing those beliefs on other people. That's my thoughts there. Then we have extremist militias are coordinating more than 100 Facebook groups from Wired.com by Tom 13. They added, I don't think this is what the founders meant by a well-regulated militia. And my common response was, the modern militia movement is mostly just federal entrapment. It's like that the guys when they tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan. Echoes of FBI entrapment. It becomes it's echoes of FBI entrapment haunt. Failed plot to get reports from House from the Intercept from 2 years ago. It becomes really dicey when there are nearly as many informants as there are defendants of former federal prosecutors told the Intercept, and that's pretty much what the modern militia movement is. Almost as many informants as it is actual militia people. So I think it's mostly just federal entrapment. That's why I personally wouldn't get involved with it, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have LP Indiana opposes Trump invite Libertarian Party of Indiana from Tom 13. That's from Libertarian Party of Indiana.org, and they said, yeah, you go LPIN. And I definitely think if they want to be against the Trump going, I think they should be able to. I personally would rather not have him there and all his baggage, but I definitely think it'll be interesting having him there. That's what I'll say on that issue, and that's my thoughts there. Next we have the Satanic Temple plans to place ministers in Oklahoma schools if new bill becomes law from OKCFox.com by Swamp Hanky Dan. And I personally think if they want to do that, I think they should be able to. And ultimately, I think if each school wants to have them, they should be able to. And if they want to have a Christian chapel, I think they should be able to. But that being said, when you are a public school, you do have to treat all the religions equally. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Russia violated NAP by foot and mouth, and they said that's all. And I said, agreed, but show me a country that hasn't. The U.S. has violated NAP multiple times in countries like Vietnam and Iraq, and that's important to remember as well. Then we have, why is burning the U.S. flag considered free speech, but burning the Israeli flag being considered a hate crime, from Ragnar OKXG? And I said, burning any flag is free expression as long as you own it and don't get the fire on anyone else. And that's my thought on that issue. Then we have, there is now an alternative, Liberal Party USA, from Dr. Boom. The Association of Liberty State Parties is rebranded as Liberal Party USA. It's a classical liberal party that has as its affiliates New Mexico, Massachusetts, Virginia, and now Pennsylvania. Whenever state is joined, and it will be announced at the end of the month, we are considering the applications of several other state organizations. If you are interested in having your state's classical liberal party join or willing to start one, please contact us at info@liberalpartyusa.org. Individuals attending more than 600 a year will be delegates to mention on December 7th, 2024. Location to be announced on May 7th, 2024. And I personally, I'm probably gonna stick with the Libertarian Party, but I think if you want to join another party, I think they should be able to. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Netanyahu's government voted to shut down the Al Jazeera office in Israel from NPR.org by Zachness. And I definitely think that goes against freedom of the press. Even if Al Jazeera is a government funded by the, Qatari government, I still think that goes against freedom of the press. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And finally, we have MIT becomes first elite university to ban diversity statements by Lemon Limelight, and that's what they said from Unheard. MIT begins first elite university to ban diversity statements in what's likely to be a watershed moment. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology has ended the use of diversity statements for faculty hiring, making it the first elite private university back to current practice that has been roundly criticized as a political litmus test. President Sally Cornwolf notes, "We can build an inclusive environment in many ways, but compelled statements impinge on freedom of expression, and they don't work. This is a major win for free speech culture, academic freedom, and higher education in general. Hopefully, more universities follow MIT here." And I'm going to skip the rest of what they wrote, but I said, I think people want to do them, that they should be able to, but I don't think that they should be forced to if they don't want to, and that's my thoughts on that issue. I think that's very libertarian ethos. Do what you want to do, but don't force that on other people, especially when it's ideologically based, and that's my thoughts there. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.